Hello and welcome to the Mindful Millionaire YouTube channel. Today I'm interviewing my friend, Michele Saunders. Michele reached out to me because she had a book club and they were going to be reading The Mindful Millionaire, and she wanted to have me come and talk with folks who were in the club. Turned into such a great conversation, and I wanted to have her on the show because I could feel that our values were really aligned. We talk about Michele's experience of leaving the workforce and then coming back as a coach to help folks who are ready to expand, to up level their career, to take advantage of new opportunities that they're growing into, just like the experience that she had when she went back into the workforce. We're talking about money, limiting beliefs, the Barbie movie, because both of us had seen it, and we definitely had a lot of thoughts about being enough and how that movie translates into our relationship with money. So I know you're gonna have a lot of fun with this. I can't wait to hear what you think. Enjoy.
Michele, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm happy to be here. Very happy to be here.
I know we're going to have a great conversation. There's so many things that we can explore together. And I want to tell everyone that it was such a fun way that we met. You reached out to me because you have this incredible book club. Love for you to talk about that in our conversation. But you had been planning for the next book and you decided that The Mindful Millionaire would be a great addition, which was such an honor. And so I got to come and speak with folks in the book club group, which was wonderful. And after that conversation, I was like, oh my gosh, I'd love to have you on the show, talk about who you are, talk about money, women, coaching, personal development. I mean, these are some of the things that are coming to me, but I'd love it if you could give us a little bit of your backstory to get to know you better.
Absolutely. I have been in the professional and personal development world for about 20 years. I started in the corporate world in human resources. And in that chapter of my life, I was working in various corporations, very well-known global corporations, specifically training adults on professional development. So everything you can think of to help them become more skilled, more insightful, better communicators, stronger leaders, all of that in their work life. And that being in learning and development, I loved. It was wonderful. I was an educator, I was an inspirer, all of it mixed together. I loved the work. I also pursued a master's in social work during those years, thinking that there may be a possibility that I segue into becoming a therapist. I come from a family of psychologists. It's always been in my blood to have psychology as just such a big force in my understanding and background. And I chose not to go that route. I chose to stay in the corporate world. I felt at the time that my skills were more geared, not really just my skills, my interests were more into forward movement, forward development, as opposed to kind of traditional therapy work. And then I made a big decision. And the decision was to leave my career at a juncture in my life. My husband and I both discussed this, agreed. I really wanted to be home with our two kids and spend more time at home raising them. So they were young. So I stepped away from my career, and I had a long stretch where I was the primary person at home with our kids, doing everything that mothers do. And I loved every minute of it. And it was a big decision to leave work, to go into the other work, right? Of being a mother. And at the same time, I knew in my core that I would be returning to my career at some point when it felt right. And I was fortunate enough to be able to make that decision, to have that flexibility. And when it came time for me to re-enter the workforce, it was a big transition in my life. I was at a different age, obviously. It was a different time in the world. I had to look at my skills, my interests, my education, where I was in my life to figure out what makes sense for me now. So this was about 7 years ago. And I spent time exploring, connecting, researching, networking, all that it takes when you're in a career transition to figure out the next step for me that felt really terrific. I found coaching. I became certified in coaching. And what drew me to coaching was that it was the perfect blend for me of focusing on personal and professional development, forward movement, understanding the psychology behind mindset and so forth, and helping people grow. And that is truly what I had been doing all along. It just wasn't really called coaching per se at that time. And I became certified and started my own business. And so now what I am mainly focusing on is helping women with their professional career transitions. And it's just an excellent fit for me. I love the work, and I love helping women at any stage of their life fulfill fulfill themselves. I was going to say fulfill their dream goal, but it's more feeling comfortable. I say this to people sometimes, in their shoes, like they're putting on the right shoes each day and they feel really great walking in them. And that's what I love helping women with. So that is a little bit about me.
Thank you so much. I'm curious, what about the book, The Mindful Millionaire? Why did that catch your attention at this point in your life?
Yeah, it caught my attention because as women and men look to grow, look to become successful, look to earn the money that they feel they deserve, there's so much more to it. There's so much more. I love the way you wrote about, even the title, Mindful Millionaire, the mindset, the stories we bring, the values that we put towards how we show up in life and how we feel what we are capable of earning is what we can strive for. And I love all of that. And that really goes into the wearing your shoes, not only wearing your shoes in terms of skill set and interests, but in terms of who somebody is as a person and what their value add is and how they can continue to grow. And all of that, of course, combines with money and prosperity and success. So my role is to help people in my coaching to do very much what your book sets out to do, which is help people earn and find work that they love and feel that they're living their best lives. And I'm not helping them necessarily find the job. I'm helping them show up as the best selves they can be in order to do that, in order to find the work and to find their next transition step. So it very much tied in with your book. All of my philosophy ties in with your book. Earning potential, because it's the potential of a person in totality. It's not just what a job claims the salary should be. So.
Mm-hmm. Because what I think I'm hearing is there are multiple places in the business that you're building that this way of thinking can help you, because it can help you in having compassion and understanding of what's happening for the people that are coming to you to work with you, whether it be even making that decision to work with you and to make that big investment. When we know more about what's going on behind the scenes with money, it can become more clear that we have to be careful not to play into people's fears and manipulate them, which neither you nor I or anyone probably listening to this wants to do, but also have them take action beyond their fears. So see that there's some other potential, believe in themselves at a higher level. And I feel like I tried to inspire that in the book, but also as you building your business and you deciding how much am I going to charge? How comfortable am I in to charge this? Why might I be really going back into these paradigms over and over again? And could I actually walk out of one? Could I get myself out so that this doesn't keep coming up again and again? And there's probably more, but does that resonate?
Oh, very, very much. I think starting a business and being in your own business and having to make decisions such as what am I charging to a client, those kinds of decisions I think are the greatest form of professional growth one can have, personal and professional growth, because by claiming a number and charging a particular number, knowing that when people say, I'm out of work, let's say, I need to find a job and make money, that there I am then charging them something that it could potentially bring up a conflict. So it's what I like to do is help people see exactly what you just said, which is I'm modeling that if I'm charging a particular amount that I feel working with me is worthy of, then they too can invest that amount in themselves because they are worthy of growing themselves and achieving the sky's the limit for themselves. It's an investment into their own self-worth, life, everything.
Yeah.
So it's
This
a
is
number,
so good.
number represents a lot.
It does. And one reflection that's coming up as you say that is that I don't think this work is ever done because we are always growing. We are always improving our skills. We can always charge more. I've never seen a situation where like we couldn't. It's not that we always choose to charge more. There may be situations where we're like, this person is really not going to be able to afford it. And I want to help them and we can charge less, but the choice and the awareness of what's going on here is that is what we gain when we gain freedom in our relationship with money. We can look at it from this very healed place. And then we can also say, I feel like part of the reason it's such a reflection of our growth is we'll hit these ceilings and we'll be like, my pricing, it doesn't feel right anymore. It doesn't give me that dopamine charge when somebody says yes. I'm like, oh, I actually should have done something different because it doesn't feel good, right? We're paying attention to how it feels when we charge. And what I've learned is that because we're growing simultaneous to the businesses, and this really applies for coaches and people who are in service-based businesses where you're showing up and you're going to, you learn so much from your last client or your last project that now you're a whole new person and you may be changing your prices all the time because it's reflecting not just what you feel that you're worthy of, but the value that's being created for those individuals that you are serving, which is to me, I think the most profound kind of pricing that we can engage in. Like, what's this mean to you? And what's the value if you're able to do A, B, and C? What is the value of that in your life? And get them to tell you, and then use that as an indicator of what you're going to charge, even if you have to tie performance to it. You're like, I am committed to helping you do this as long as you do your part. We can charge double, most likely, what we're currently charging when we open ourselves up. And I'm hoping that when people really dive into the Mindful Millionaire and they realize how much wealth is there for them, that they could actually become that fluid in their pricing structure. I'm curious what you think about that.
Oh, I agree. I mean, one thing that stood out for me just now when you were saying the value, it's like unlimited. I'm thinking of the MasterCard commercial. It's priceless, right? You can't the amount of growth that someone can have, the potential is so unlimited that I love for people to see that as they take that step and that plunge into investment, that it's, if there's a number there, what they will reap from it and could have the possibility to reap from it could be quadruple that number. So that's number one. The other thing I love what you said is that this is an unbelievable, I'm so happy to be in this profession because, and I discuss this with my coach colleagues all the time, this is a nonstop learning adventure. We are learning constantly every day, from every client interaction, from every seminar, from every book, from every conversation, just everything. It's an ongoing learning. So what it has proven to me over and over is that learning is a lifelong process. If we are healthy, I'm knocking on wood, if we have the capability to learn and continue to absorb like a sponge information, what we as coaches bring to the table is so much more than even yesterday and the day before that, because each day we're learning so much. So we're offering our clients so much, but it's all to say that our clients then have unlimited possibilities as well. So yeah, I really resonate with what you're saying.
It is true that other than choices that we make, the potential in any given moment is limitless.
Yes.
It's only our choices that cause us, or our thinking mind that causes us to believe something other than that. And I think when I was writing the book, I wanted people to get a taste of that limitless potential, because in my own life, whenever I've tapped into that, I've seen remarkable things, including having the book published, by St. Martin's Press, and like having an agent show up and having all these things happen that me of my own accord by myself could never have just done it, period. I needed help, and that help appeared, but I believed that anything was possible. And therefore, when those phone calls came in or those opportunities came in, I was ready to receive them and be like, okay, I'm willing to go to this next place with the opportunity. So many times we're not prepared for that because we're so stuck in our own traumas that we don't realize that the opportunities are walking into our lives on a regular basis. One thing I'd love to talk about is the Barbie movie. We were talking about it before we got started, but something that was cracking me up is in the movie. I was so happy because they could have talked about 100 different topics when they had like 10, 20, 30 seconds, and they chose to talk about money. Did you see that? They talked about money and the belief systems that women have, like stereotypes. But I mean, unfortunately, when they said that, I was like, oh my gosh, I've heard so many women, that I have gone to coach or have been in my programs over the years say exactly what they said. So what was your take on the movie and what's happening? Right.
I absolutely loved the movie. I just loved every time. I don't remember her name, the actress, but when she had that president sash on and she's going president sash and the Supreme Court and the whole thing, to me, it showed, it showed the ideology about money for sure, in terms of, look at this, look what we can do. And there's no stopping point if we don't choose to. But to me, it was also such a freeing movie. There was a sense of, even as she's driving along, hi Barbie, all of that. It was such a welcome one and all, and we're all in here and we're all doing this. And I loved it. There's so much we could talk about. Is there any, besides money, or is there anything on that you want to highlight that maybe I missed just now?
Well, the thing that I've been writing a lot about in follow-up to the movie is that I was shocked that a popular movie could bring collective consciousness
Mm,
to, in my opinion, one of the most profound spiritual teachings of all time, which is I am me and that is enough. No matter what, gender, color of skin, like whatever isms and all of those things, like we could drop all of it. Everyone could drop it in one moment and say, I'm just me and that's enough. And again, how funny that that was really at the end of the Mindful Millionaire. The whole message is you are enough. Stop bullshitting yourself about anything else. And I
yeah.
love how, these strong women like Margot as a producer and Greta as a writer and director being ruthlessly committed to this message that was incredibly brave. This, I don't think it could have destroyed their careers, but it could have caused a lot of pain and suffering had it not gone over the way that it did. And they were willing to face whatever demons they had to face to keep moving forward and getting so many people to invest and to, buy in, including Mattel making fun of itself and these stupid dolls and that they had created over the years. Like I continue to be amazed.
And the men in the boardroom and all of that. I mean, they really looked at everything. But the I am enough, I hear that all the time, as I'm sure you do, with clients, women not feeling they are enough. Um, and yeah, it was such a great declaration that everybody is enough in whatever they are doing, feeling. And it's just, again, it's looking at that and it's looking at the choice of eliminating a storyline that's just not working anymore, of one feeling that they are not enough. And I mean, Ken coming to that in the end, the whole thing is amazing.
Hmm.
Ken
Hmm.
realizes, apart from Barbie, he's okay, and he was always in no
Yeah.
place but Barbie. I exist because of Barbie. And he learned.
Yeah. When it's so
That's
funny because when she comes back and she sees what Ken had done to Barbie Land, was physically sick to my stomach. I could not believe the feels that I was having over something that on the screen looked so silly. And I knew it was a movie, but it was activating every like cell in my body to be like, oh no, not this again. Like, really? This is what's going to have to happen. It was like an existential crisis. They did a good job, for me at least, as an empath, to like really feel that moment of sadness and kind of like despair that even here it could happen.
idyllic, even in this ideal.
Yes,
Hmm.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah, that it could change.
yes, yes, yes. And those words, the speech about, you're pretty, but then if you're too pretty, this, or,
Yeah.
you want to lose weight, but then if you're too thin, this. And it's just yeah, a lot
It's
of conflict.
gotta, oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say the conflict was so strong. You felt it. You feel this idyllic in the beginning, and then it becomes, this, like you just said, all of a sudden he's crushing the whole Barbie world. And then the conflict is once again kind of, rising in terms of, well, wait a minute, let's look at this in a different way. And then the resolution. And then there she walks into her gynecologist in the end.
Yeah, just really opening our
Oh,
minds to thoughts, feelings, experiences that didn't in the moment have any place to necessarily be discussed. all happening. Like, you said, you kind of got to go back and see it a couple times because it moves so fast. There's so many things being discussed, but they did a good job of packing in a lot of stuff so that you would be interested in coming back and spending money and seeing it again. Pretty funny.
It is really funny. I really want to go back. I have, a purpose to go by. I want to pay attention to those lines more. I want to look at the different dynamics. I even want to go back and listen to the music. There was very key music at different times too that I wasn't aware of who all the singers were and everything and the messages. And I thought that was really interesting when I listened to the soundtrack after I saw the movie.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. So even the words of the songs had things to say. So yeah, it was fast and packed. So now
Yeah.
I want to go and watch it again.
But
No,
it's
I hope they win a lot of awards. It was great.
it's a good metaphor actually for
Yeah.
even the way that women often do things different, maybe the feminine versus the masculine. The feminine is like, got a short amount of time, I'm going to get a lot of information in, and then if you need, like I did this to my husband last night, I came home from a conference and it was like 9:30 and I'm giving him the whole download as we're in bed, and then I was like, thank you. I mean, I covered like 25 different topics in about 10 minutes. And I was like, thank you for letting me let that, off my chest. And he's like, oh my God, I need therapy to go to sleep now because it was so much information in such a short period of time. I was like, I feel so much better. He's like, I'm glad you do, because now I'm trying to figure out why did you say this and then that and then this and what does that mean? And that's what the movie was like. How
Yes.
funny.
Yes. Very fun.
you know, Something that I wanted to be able to reflect back to you in appreciation was when we had the conversation in the book club with the folks who had been reading the book. And I got the opportunity to meet, particularly one woman who had originally even introduced you to the book that I had never met before, that I didn't know. And hearing her talk about how much of an impact the book had made in her life and in her coaching practice was such an interesting experience, I will say, for me, because when you write a book, it's so different than anything that I've ever done before, where with an Instagram post or a Facebook post, you get comments, people are feeding off of what you've shared. You get this instant kind of gratification of like, oh yeah, I agree with you, I disagree, or what have you. But with a book, you'll get reviews, which are helpful. But the book that I wrote isn't something, I've come to realize, is not a book that people necessarily think when they finish it, I need to go on to Amazon and write a review about it. Like, I just have to really own this. Instead, I think people finish the book and they're like, I want to go create my life. I want to go create some more money. I want to go take care of the things that are so important to me. They're thinking about themselves, which is what I wanted. I wanted them inside of their experience, not thinking about Lisa and how Lisa has done so much for them. I want them thinking about how they can be their own savior, right? They are the person they've been waiting for. And back to the book club, it was so touching because I thought, if this one woman is out there and it's had such a big impact in her life, and I may have not met her had it not been for you, and to hear her reflection, then there's probably other people out there that I am not meeting, or they're not reaching out to me, and I have no idea what's going on for them as a result of the book. And so it was really meaningful for me to have that beautiful, loving connection in a way that I didn't know I had been missing. And it's something that other authors probably can really relate to as well. Is you create that book, and I think of the book as a she she goes out into the world and she's doing her magic now. And I'm not really all that involved other than holding space and loving. So thank you.
Oh, I am so glad, and you're welcome. My complete pleasure. This is why I love bringing authors to the discussion, because first of all, I mean, with my book group, and anyone who's listening can go onto my website and they can absolutely join in. It's free. You click on the link, you get the Zoom link, and you can just join in on the next discussion. And I'm bringing an author to the discussion of the author of the book, because not only does it bring the book to life even more, I think it's wonderful on both parts. I think it's wonderful for an author to hear, just like what you did, on how their book is having an impact on the world. Maybe they haven't heard, like you just said. And also how it's helpful for the reader to hear other things, or to hear the human voice speaking about the why and other ramifications of the book, and how it's kind of a ripple effect. And this is what's happened since the book. It just brings the whole thing full circle. And I love that. I've always loved going to bookstores and listening to authors when they're selected to put on their presentations about their book. I've always loved that. I'm fascinated by authors. I think it's amazing that you wrote the book, and I love the book. I really do. I think it's amazing when it all comes together. And it's like, wow, this is a full book. Not just a
Yeah.
grabs, So
I love it because I can really feel that when you have the opportunity to meet the author, the experience of reading their words has a whole different level of connection. The thing that I think many of us are in greater need of, more connection. And so you're connecting people with the material in the club, and then the author gives people insights. Like you said, you were very particular about focusing on stories behind the scenes, things that you're not necessarily going to get from the book. So the why, or stories that were relevant to writing it, or maybe an impact of how it's played out in my life as a result of writing the book. Like all these things that I think really bring this very human connection to the words.
yes. And I think human connection, that's a great way to put it. Human connection is what allows people to be more human and know that they are enough. It all comes together,
Mhm.
Human beings have potential to grow, and they can be enough at the same time. And all
Mm.
of that is really, really neat when we have the connection with what books can do for development of oneself. So yeah, I'm so glad that you were there, and part of the group. So
Love it. And perhaps tell folks here what's the next step if they're interested in learning more about your coaching, about the book
yeah,
club, or asking you questions. What should they do?
yeah. With regard to my coaching, anyone out there who is feeling either stuck in a transition that they're having professionally. And I say professionally because it always ties in with personal as well. But if somebody is feeling that they're not happy in their career, maybe currently, and they are looking to move in some way, or they've been laid off, there are so many professionals who have been laid off recently. It's unbelievable. Many people feel overwhelmed. They don't know where to begin. Some people have been in a particular job for a very long time, feel that they can't start again, either in a new industry or at their particular age. They feel worried they're not going to be hired. Whatever it might be, there's a lot of transition around the professional world right now. Some people are looking to just up level and become even stronger leaders. So if any of you listening are in that space where you want to focus on how to be putting your best foot forward and feeling confident, feeling enough, feeling very mindful about what you're doing, intentional and committed, and I really want to say, and who are willing to make the commitment to being open to possibility, not fixed, but open to possibility, because when we're open to possibility, we can be creative, and creativity brings about so many more opportunities. So if any of you listening are in any of that mode right now, that's the kind of coaching I love to do with people, and reach out to me. So I do one-on-one coaching. I work with corporate work also, corporate employees. I have a group program, and I am going to be putting on a free webinar on supercharging your job search strategies. And I don't mean just let's look at your resume and LinkedIn, because I really don't write resumes and help people with their LinkedIn profiles. I'm talking about strategies such as, what does it mean to really connect with people and network with people? And what does it mean to really be a lifelong learner in this process? And what does it mean to follow through and connect the dots and come full circle with situations and possibilities? And those are strategies to help people move forward, and they can be applied to anything. And in this scenario, the job search. So I'm going to be offering a free hour webinar in September, September 27th. And that's a place to find me as well. So yeah, feel free to connect. I always tell people, just connect. Let's have a conversation. Even if we're not working together. I love meeting people. I love connecting. So
Beautiful. I feel like I should be like mic drop, because I have done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of interviews over the past 8 years.
yeah,
And I do not remember anyone being so precise and helpful in their description of what they do, who they serve, and how they do it. So I really want to congratulate you and tell everyone listening, if you're in business, go listen to that like 3 or 4 times, what Michele just did, because you're awesome to work with. I want them to work with you, and I also want them to learn from you, because that was really, really amazing.
thank you so much. Thanks for having this conversation. I love it. We've covered a lot in the half an hour. So
Yeah, we packed it in. Go listen to the whole thing again. We're like Barbie movie. Such a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much. Thank you, listeners. Thank you, viewers. We had a great time. Yeah. Thanks,
definitely.
Michele.
Thank you,
If you
Leisa.
enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel. That way you'll get all the latest updates of meditations, tapping videos, different coaching calls that I share on the YouTube channel. And also be sure to take my money and chakra quiz. This shows you where you might be out of balance as it pertains to money, and exactly what you can do for your next steps.